So we're back on arguably the greatest NHL game of all time. I'm talking about NHL 14, and we're going to be doing a fantasy draft. This game was dropped over a decade ago. Okay, this is not ideal. We're getting the 27th overall pick, but we're going to work with it. So I'm going to rebuild the St. Louis Blues through a fantasy draft, and we're going to try to get ourselves a Stanley Cup. Looking at the first couple picks in the draft, we're going to see Sidney Crosby going number 1, Alexander Ovechkin number 2, Steven Stamkos 3, and ironically, Steven Stamkos is actually going to be going to the Nashville Predators. That's working out perfect. Jonathan Toews, he's going to be going to the Florida Panthers. Jonathan Quick to the Arizona Coyotes or Phoenix Coyotes, whatever they were at this time. Pietrangelo is going to be going 6th overall to the Philadelphia Flyers. Malkin's going 7th to the Chicago Blackhawks. Datsyuk going 8th to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Number 9 is going to be Shea Weber off to the Islanders. And to finish it all off, Zdeno Chara, he's going to be sticking around in Boston. Now this is going to be our first selection in the draft, and there's a lot of great players available. Duncan Keith, Zetterberg, Rick Nash, Marian Gaborik. We're going to see 34-year-old Joe Thornton out here. But you know what? I don't want to pick up any old players. If we're going to be rebuilding this team for a handful of years, I want to make sure that we're set for the future. And a guy like Tuukka Rask with our first selection, I'm definitely okay with that. Now I passed up on a handful of good players, but you know what? I want us to have an elite goaltender. But you know what? I think we'll be able to get some good players later here. Zach Parise, 89 overall, 29 years old. That's not bad. Brett Burns, 28 years old. He's an 89 as well. There's some great players available like Dustin Byfuglien. I would not mind bringing Dustin Byfuglien to the team. But you know what? I think I'd rather go with Brett Burns. But then again, if we go a bit further down, we can find James Neal at 26 years old. He's only an 88 overall. That's not too bad. Lucic at 25. He's an 87. So these are very young players that are going to keep on getting better. I wouldn't mind bringing Lucic to the team. Jordan Staal, that's another great option for us here. There's a lot of good players. It's going to be a tough decision, that's for sure. Now I want to try to bring as many players onto the team that we're not seeing in the current NHL 24 game. So Brett Burns, he's with the Carolina Hurricanes. Zach Parise, he just played his final season in the NHL. But you know what? Dustin Byfuglien, I would love to bring to the team. So that's who we're going to be selecting here in the second round. So we're moving on to our third round selection. Joe Pavelski, you were unable to win a Stanley Cup with the Dallas Stars. You just recently retired, and now you're going to be brought to the St. Louis Blues here. You're going to be able to get a Stanley Cup with us, that's for sure. Now another thing we have to look at when bringing players onto the team is their contracts. I want to make sure we're bringing in guys on long-term deals. Like Scott Hartnell, 6 years, but he's 31 years old. That's not the worst contract in the world, but he's 31 years old, and I don't really want to bring an old player like that to the team. Mike Green, this isn't the worst contract in the world. $6 million for the next 2 years. You're an 85 overall at 27 years old. You and Dustin Byfuglien as our top pairing, that actually could be the move. And you know what? I think that's actually what we're going to go with here. So it's going to be Dustin Byfuglien, Mike Green as our top pairing here. We're going to have an elite defense, no question about that. What's the rest of the team going to look like? I'm not too sure yet. Now, one thing we definitely have to pay attention to, all these amazing young players that have a lot of potential. Seth Jones is available still, Jonathan Drouin, even Nathan McKinnon's available here. Now, I would love to bring Nathan McKinnon to the team. But you know what? I think we're going to start with Jake Gardiner, 4.5 stars, but he's already an 81 overall. He's got a ton of value. He'd be a great player to select here. So I'm actually going to pass on Jake Gardiner and instead go with Ryan Johansson here. 80 overall at 21 years old. He's got 4.5 stars in potential. He's going to turn into a star in the future, that's for sure. And then with our next selection, we're going to go with another really young player here. That's going to be Cam Fowler, 81 overall. He's going to be jumping into the lineup immediately as well. So I know we've drafted a lot of defensemen here, but why not draft a couple more? Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 4.5 stars in potential, 82 overall at 22 years old. I can't pass up on that potential. Now, when it comes to a guy like Nathan McKinnon, I think we're going to wait 2 more selections before we bring him to the team. He's definitely coming to the team, no question about it. And you know who else is coming to the team? Dougie Hamilton. I'm bringing him to the team right now. We're going to have an elite defense in the future. The offense is going to be very questionable. And speaking of the offense, I think it's about time we improve that. So Backlund, you're going to be joining the team here, 24 years old, 80 overall. You have 4 stars in potential. That's not too bad. Now, I don't really know what round Nathan McKinnon would actually be drafted in, but I feel like selecting him here isn't a bad selection. We're in the 10th round, bringing a guy like Nathan McKinnon to the team. He has unlimited potential, and I want to make sure that we don't lose him. But now that I'm seeing Jonathan Drouin and Seth Jones still available here, I know for a fact I missed on that selection, but Seth Jones, you're coming to the team now. I'm preparing this team for the future. Like, we are going to tank through the first 2 or 3 years, but eventually we're going to be a great team. Jonathan Drouin, you're also going to be coming to the team. I don't care if those guys are really low overalls. They have lots of potential, and that's all I care about. Like, the players I bring to this team, I want to make sure have a bit of potential. I don't want to bring an 81 overall player, and then within 3 years, he's dropped down to a 65 overall. That's not going to be helping us in the slightest. But if I bring in a bunch of young players that are going to get better throughout the years, we'll be in a great spot. So we do need some forwards on this team. So Troy Brouwer, you're actually going to be pretty good for us. 82 overall, 28 years old. You can play some top minutes for us because we've done a very poor job of building this team here. Well, building this team specifically for this season. For the future, yeah, we're going to be cooking. So how about I bring in a backup goaltender for us and we get an absolute legend here in Ben Scrivens. Ben Scrivens is going to be our backup for the 2013-2014 season. That's a name I haven't seen in a very long time. Also, Jerome McGinley is going back to the Calgary Flames with the 18th overall pick in the 15th round. So shout out to him. I guess it wouldn't be 18th overall pick. It would be the 18th pick in the 15th round, not the 18th overall overall pick in the 15th round. Doesn't matter, you get what I'm trying to say. Now, since I've accepted that we're not going to be a great team here, I'm just bringing guys like Mark Scheifele onto the team, because there's no point me bringing an 81 overall player that's 38 years old when I can get a 75 overall player who's 20 years old and has way more potential. Like, realistically, why would I pick a guy like Brian Campbell, who's 34 years old and 84 overall, is going to retire in the next couple of years, but on top of that, I have to pay him $7 million. I'm not doing that. I'll pick up one of these guys on a 1-year deal like Ray Whitney. I'll bring you in here, because we are going to have to reach the salary cap floor, but I'm not bringing in some 35-year-old on a 3-year deal. I'll bring in a 35-year-old on a 1-year deal, but on a multi-year deal. So we're in the 18th round, and I'm not going to show the rest of the selections here unless I'm bringing in a super notable player, but I really doubt that's going to be happening here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the draft for us, and then I'll show you our team at the end of the fantasy draft. All right, we're getting the superstar here. I definitely have to mention this guy, Joel Armida. Welcome to the team. 4 stars of potential, 59 overall at 20 years old. This is a no-brainer. So we have a team here. Is it a good team? Absolutely not. Dustin Byfuglien, Joe Pavelski, Mike Green, Patrick Ellis, Daniel Alfredsson, Ryan Whitney, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Troy Brouwer. I think it's safe to say this team's winning a game this season. One singular game, and we're probably not winning more than that. Tuukka Rask is going to be a great goaltender for us, though. 87 overall. He's incredibly young still. He's going to be here for a while. Ben Scrivens, I literally just need you to be a backup for a couple seasons here. But you know what? We have a lot of guys with high potential. Look at the elite potential. We're going to be able to trade a handful of these guys and get great players. Or I hope that's how the trade system works in this game. We're also $45,000 over the salary cap. So yeah, we're just going to let the CPU fix that. So how is our team looking here? Well, Joe Pavelski, Patrick Ellis, Daniel Alfredsson, that's a great first line. Troy Brouwer, Backlund, Ray Whitney, that's not a bad second line either. The bottom 6 though, we're going to pretend this doesn't exist. A lot of these guys shouldn't even be in the NHL right now. When it comes to the defense, though, that's not too bad. Mike Green, Dustin Byfuglien, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, all of you guys can play right now. Even Cam Fowler and Dougie Hamilton can play. So the defense really doesn't need any work done to it. And then when it comes to the goaltending, we got Tuukka Rask. He can be the guy for us. Zero question about it. We're going to win a Stanley Cup with him. But that forward core, yeah, we definitely have to address that immediately. So I think we should make some trades here. So I'm going to pull up my BlackBerry. What do you guys know about a BlackBerry playbook? That was a tablet I had when I was a kid. I didn't have an iPad. I had a BlackBerry playbook. But you know what? The BlackBerry playbook was elite, and we're not going to diss it. It's legendary. We are going to make some trades here, though. We're only going to be allowed 3 trades per season. That's the rule I'm going to set here. And who's the first player we're going to trade away? I'm actually not too sure yet. Like Nathan McKinnon, it would actually make a lot of sense to trade you away. Look at that trade value. But you know what? I think we're going to package up one of the bad contracts with one of these elite players and see if we can bring in a half decent guy, maybe like an 85 overall. So I just want to make sure that we're not getting finessed out here. So Kuba and Dougie Hamilton, I'm going to trade both of you guys. You're being sent over to the Carolina Hurricanes so we can acquire Wayne Simmons. Wayne Simmons is under contract for the next 6 years. Why can I not look at his player card? There we go. 25 years old, 85 overall. That's actually not bad. We have him under contract at a cheap price, but on top of that, I want to see if I can get a first and second round pick. So I'm going to send this trade package over. They're going to be saying no. I'll take out the second rounder. Let's see if we can get the first. I highly doubt we're going to be able to get the first rounder, but you know what? I thought I'd try. Now let's get that second rounder instead. So I want at least a bit of draft compensation back. We're going to be getting that second round pick on top of Wayne Simmons. Yeah, the forward core just got significantly stronger. So while I work on making a couple more trades here, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 70k by the end of the month, and if you don't subscribe, we won't be able to do that. So what are you doing? Sub to the channel right now. All right, so we're going to try to make this trade right here. It's going to be Barkov and Teemu Selanne, who's like 40-some years old, over to the New York Rangers. We get Jeff Skinner. He's going to fit the timeline here, under contract for the next 6 years. This is definitely a no-brainer if they're willing to accept it. They're going to be saying no to that deal. I think having them take on Teemu Selanne's contract is going to be very difficult. So here's a Carolina second round pick. They're still saying no to that. A 7th rounder I think is going to make the difference. Is the lucrative 7th round pick a thing in NHL 14 here? It looks like it might be. They're saying no to 1 7th rounder, but if I give you 2 lucrative 7th round picks, are you willing to say yes? Okay, I guess the lucrative 7th round pick's not a thing in this game. So instead of 7th rounders, I'll give you a 3rd rounder from the St. Louis Blues, and now you don't want to accept the deal because you don't want Teemu Selanne. Thanks for telling me now. Now there's one thing I completely forgot about in NHL 14 that I just realized now. You can change the information on the bottom. So yeah, this deal's going to be a lot easier to get done now. So it's going to be a 2nd, 3rd, Ellis and Barkov over to the New York Rangers. We're going to get Jeff Skinner in this deal. They don't want Patrick Ellis. Even though he has a bit of trade value, you still don't want him. What if instead of Patrick Ellis, I give you Troy Brouwer's contract? I'm going to send this over. The Rangers are accepting immediately here. We're clearing up some cap space, but we're also seeing a massive upgrade to the team. Now, if I'm being honest, we're looking at a 15-win team max. Joe Pavelski, Jeff Skinner, Wayne Simmons, that's not a bad first line. Literally every other line outside that absolutely cooked. It's full of 80 overall players, so it's not not the end of the world, but yeah, we definitely need better players here. Looking at the defense, this is going to be cooked as well this season. Mike Green, Dustin Bufflin, Cam Fowler, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Morgan Riley, Seth Jones. The third pairing is incredibly weak with 270 overalls. The 80 overalls are going to keep getting better here. The one thing that could potentially save us though is the goaltending. We have Tuukka Rask in between the pipes. But then again, even if Tuukka Rask has a goals against of 1.5, that still might not be good enough because we're going to struggle so much putting the puck in the back of the net here. But then again, we have to realize season number 1 is just strictly tanking. We're not trying to win games here. We're trying to lose every single game this season, allow a lot of the young guys to progress, and then next season we'll be ready to take over, especially with all the money we're going to be clearing up. Like, I think we're going to have an additional $30 million in cap space for next season. With all the young guys on cheap contracts, we'll make some big moves. Okay, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but we're 11-0-3 to start the season. We are yet to lose in regulation. This team might break 65 wins. What is going on here? We finally had our first regulation loss here, but 13-1-3 to start the season. Yeah, we're elite. 14-1-3. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So we're at the All-Star game, just a little over halfway into the season here, and I could not tell you what's going on. The St. Louis Blues are first in the entire league, a 32-10-5 record. The team that we constructed is first in the entire league. I have no clue what's going on here, but I'll definitely take it. And on top of being first in the entire league, we have the best offense and defense in the entire league. Jeff Skinner, 19 goals, 23 assists for 42 points. Patrick Ellis, he's going to have 42 as well. Wayne Simmons, 39. Joe Pavelski, 33. I can't believe that we're first in the entire league. That makes absolutely no sense. And then when it comes to goaltending, Tuukka Rask, you've been amazing. 26 wins so far, a 2.2 goals against. And when it comes to that save percentage, a 922. This team's looking great here, but we've already made the 3 trades that we're allowed to do. So we just have to stick with this team for the rest of the year. And I'm actually perfectly fine with that. Like, we're probably going to make the playoffs here. I mean, we're almost guaranteed to make the playoffs, and we're actually going to be the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. On top of that, we have $28 million in cap space heading into next season. So yeah, we're bringing everyone back, and we're going to be even better. So to finish up this season, I don't know how this team was able to do it, but first in the entire league, a 51-21-10 record. The plan heading into this season was to tank and get the first overall pick. Now we're finishing first overall. How quickly things can change. When it comes to the team leaders here, we're going to see Jeff Skinner at the top, 35 goals and 43 assists for 78 points. What a great trade that was. Patrick Ellis, I was trying to trade you away, and it's actually a good thing we kept you around here. 66 points. Wayne Simmons was great. Joe Pavelski was great. We have a lot of young players on this team that are going to keep on getting better, so I think it's safe to say this team's in a perfect spot. And then when it comes to goaltending, we already know Tuukka Rask is that man for us. A 225 goals against with 43 wins. And then when it comes to that save percentage of 924, I can definitely live with that. In case you were curious what the entire league's looking like, we're going to see Steven Stamkos at the top with 88 points, followed by Rick Nash with 88, Henrik Sedin with 87, and then Ryan Getzlaf, he's going to round out that top 4 with 82 points. But let's make it a top 5. We're going to see Phil the Thrill Kessel, and I guess we're making it a top 6 because we're going to see Pavel Datsyuk as well. Now this team was able to do something I thought would be impossible, make the postseason here. We're going to have the Dallas Stars in the first round, a wildcard team. With the way St. Louis looked all season, I think we should be able to make a deep postseason run, but then again, things change in the playoffs. Now this right here is infuriating. Losing the first 3 games against the Dallas Stars to start the series, so we're facing a 3-0 deficit. We're winning game 4, but yeah, we're headed to game 5, game 6, and game 7 down in the series. Definitely not what we're looking for here. Okay, so I did not realize how orange I was, so I just changed up the camera, but that doesn't matter. We're still trailing in the series here. After the first period, we're going to be tied 1-0. Moving into the second period, things are not looking good. We are not losing to the Dallas Stars in 5 games. That really just happened. Jacob Voracek, he's going to pick up a couple goals here. Zach Parise is going to pick up one himself. Ain't no way this just happened. How did we just lose 4-1 and lose in 5 games? We were the best team in the entire league. Lost in the first round. Now, I guess there is one thing that's never changed in NHL games. That's the fact that you can win 85 games in an 82-game season. Yes, you heard that right. 85 games in an 82-game season and still lose in the first round. It doesn't matter how good you are in the regular season. The playoffs are where it matters. So this is where I draw the line when it comes to realism. This has gotten so out of hand. I don't care if we did a fantasy draft or not. There is no reason the Toronto Maple Leafs should make it to the Stanley Cup final. We all know that's not going to happen here. The Calgary Flames, Stanley Cup champions, beating the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 games. But how Toronto made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, I couldn't tell you. Now, I don't really want to look at the player stats here, but I think we're going to have to. This team just did not perform. Okay, the best player was Morgan Riley. 76 overall Morgan Riley, picking up 2 points. That's all you really have to know here. When it comes to the goaltending, we already know that's cooked. Why was Ben Scrivens the starter? I have auto rotation for goaltenders turned on, as I do with every other video I've ever done in my entire life. Why all of a sudden this game decides, you know what, let's start 77 overall Ben Scrivens? I couldn't tell you. We would have won a Stanley Cup, but nope, this team's going to be stupid. Alright, so I probably won't be showing too much during the draft here because I highly doubt I'm going to be doing any good drafting. But you know what, we're going to go off the board a little bit and we're just going to select the player who has the highest potential. And who does that happen to be? Well, he's a pretty solid player. His name's Leon Draisaitl. So yes, we're drafting him way early here, but it's worth the risk. Alright, I'm just going to keep it a $150 here. I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing here, so I'm not going to spend any time drafting. Yeah, I'm just going to let the CPU handle this. I could not tell you if I'm getting a good player or a bad player. I'm just selecting names. All right, so we got to figure out which players are going to return to the team. Obviously, I want to bring Joe Pavelski back here. What's he going to be looking for? We could do 5.8 million, but you know what? Let's do 5 years here. And how does 5.5 sound for the next 5 years? I think that's a good contract for him. Wow, this is going to take forever to get to 5.5 million. Ray Whitney, you're going to be walking. Patrick Ellis, you're going to be walking. Daniel Alfredson, you're going to be walking as well. Seth Jones, where are you going to be looking for? If we can lock you down to a pretty cheap deal, I'm willing to do that. This isn't actually the end of the world here. So with Seth Jones, how does 4.1 for the next 4 sound? I think that's a pretty good deal for you. Backlund, I'd like to lock you down to a pretty cheap deal, but you know what? 3.1 million for an 81 overall. I don't really want to do that, so we're going to qualify you as an RFA. Like, this is what I'm looking for when it comes to an 81 overall. Ryan Johansson, we're going to be locking you down for 1.9 million. That's a great deal for the next 3 years. Teemu Selanne, you're going to be walking as well here. And then when it comes to all the other players, unless they have a lot of potential, I'm probably not bringing them back. The one thing I will say though, Leon Draisaitl, yeah, we cooked with that deal. This man's got 4 stars in potential. He's going to have a lot of trade value. But why would we trade him away if he's going to develop into a superstar for us? I'll give him his entry level contract here. So we have $16 million in cap space, and Ray Whitney, Patrick Ellis, Daniel Alfredson, they're all going to be leaving the team here. Teemu Selanne, he's going to be leaving the team as well. We're losing a lot of the bad contracts, $16 million to work with, and we have all the important pieces locked down. I'm ready to make some big moves in free agency. But one of the most important things that we have to do here is easily giving Tuukka Rask an extension. We're going to do 6.1 for the next 4 years. That's going to give us $10 million in cap space for free agency. Ben Scrivens, I'm letting you walk just because you screwed us. So who's going to be the replacement for Ben Scrivens? Martin Biron. I'd rather have you on the team than Ben Scrivens just because of what he did in the postseason. Alright, so we can make some moves here, but I only want to bring players in on 1-year deals. Michael Ryder, you could be an interesting player for us, 83 overall, but you're 34 years old, you're going to be declining. A lot of these guys are actually really old. 33, 33, 31, 34, 34, 38, 42, 41. Yeah, I don't want to bring any 40-year-olds to the team. Once we get down to the younger players, and I'm talking 28 years old, we're looking at Matt Reed or Matt Red, whatever it would be, 82 overall. So yeah, I'm not really too sure what we're going to do here. I think we are going to try to make some trades though. So I'm liking this deal right here. It's going to be Weiss and Stahlberg acquired from the Carolina Hurricanes. We're giving up Hampus Lindholm because we have enough defensemen here, and we're also going to give up Matt Martin. Stahlberg and Weiss are both over an 80 overall, and I think they would be good acquisitions for the team here. I'm going to send this package over. They're going to be saying no. Apparently we're not even close. We can make this happen though. So are you interested in a 2016 second round pick? I'll include that into the deal. They're going to be saying no. Cut to the chase. We're a great team here. I'm giving up a first rounder if I have to. So I'm including this first round pick into the deal. We're getting it done. I should have at least asked for a second round pick back, but you know what? We vibe. So right now we have a massive surplus of centers, so we might as well trade Gergensen away here. In this trade with the Blackhawks, we're picking up Downey, we're picking up Setaguchi, and we're going to be getting 2 second rounders as well. Chicago's going to be accepting this trade immediately. We actually got a lot of good assets there. I'm actually really happy with that move right there. So I've been scouring the league right now for a defenseman and another left winger, but I just thought this was really funny. Jordan Binnington on the Boston Bruins of all teams. Like, what are the odds? So this is going to be our final move, and then with the money left over, we're going to bring Backlund back. It's going to be Mike Green and Joel Armia. Mike Green's on an expiring contract. I don't plan on bringing him back here. Trevor Daley, he's on a really cheap contract. James Neal, he's actually on a not bad contract as well. We're going to try to go 2 for 2 here. They're going to be saying no, but don't worry, we got some second round picks we can trade away. So I'll throw Chicago's second rounder into this trade package. They're still going to be saying no. You know what? Let's not even mess around with multiple second round picks. Mike Green, Joel Armia, a first and second rounder over to the Calgary Flames. They're saying no, but we just need a bit more. A third round pick will make the difference. So here's a 2016 third round pick, and just like that, we have to add a second. So here's another second round pick from the Chicago Blackhawks, and we're getting this deal done with the Calgary Flames. We're about to win a Stanley Cup. Alright, so Backlund refuses to be reasonable here, so we're just giving him a 1-year deal at $2.5 million. You better accept this deal right here. Like, I'm not doing $3.6 million for an 81 overall. I'll do 2.5 for an 81, but not 3.6. So based on what this team looked like at the beginning of last season and where we are now, we should be even better this season. We have 87 overall Joe Pavelski, 88 overall Jeff Skinner, 86 overall James Neal. Then on that second line, Wayne Simmons, Weiss, Setaguchi, Downey, Ryan Johansson, Stahlberg on the third line. We've got some great forward depth here. Something I definitely didn't think I'd be saying. When it comes to the defense, we got Daley and Dustin Byfuglien, Seth Jones and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Cam Fowler and Morgan Riley. This is an improved defense from last season. Our third pairing last year was like a 70 overall and a 75 overall. So that's improved from last season. And then when it comes to goaltending, I'm not going to triple check, but I'm going to quadruple check that when the playoffs come around, Tuukka Rask Rask is our goaltender. I don't know what the CPU was cooking up. I don't know why the CPU switched it up, but Tuukka Rask, you are clearly the number one for this team, and when the playoffs come around, I need you in between the pipes. Now, unfortunately, the team's not going to be as good this season. 9th in the entire league at the All-Star break, a 27-16-4 record. I'm going to be honest, I have no clue how this team was as good as they were last season. I didn't even know what I was doing, but you know what? I'll take 9th in the entire league. I mean, we also have to remember the difference between 1st and 9th in the entire league right now is 7 points, so that can change up real quick for us. When it comes to the offense for this team, once again, we're going to see Jeff Skinner leading the way, 44 points. Weiss has been amazing since we acquired him, 37 points. Setaguchi, 35. These are two great pickups. James Neal's been great. Wayne Simmonds has been great. Even Joe Pavelski's been fantastic, but only 29 points when you're playing first line minutes. You got to be a bit better than that. The one thing I am really considering doing right now is moving Joe Pavelski down to the second line, moving Weiss up, because then we have a playmaker with a guy like Jeff Skinner, and I think that's what we're going to do. And then when it comes to goaltending, of course, Tuukka Rask is the number one guy here. No question about that. At 242 goals against, not the best in the world. You've taken a bit of a step back from last season, but you know what? As long as the team's seen success, I'm going to be happy here. So to finish out the season, the St. Louis Blues weren't looking too bad. 7th in the entire league, a 46-29-7 record. But 7th in the entire league, that's actually pretty good considering the difference between 1st and 7th is only 7 points. So really, we can compete with any team on any given night. So to finish out the season, we're going to see Jeff Skinner at the top with 87 points, 38 goals, 49 assists. Weiss is going to be second with 62 points. James Neal, Setaguchi, Joe Pavelski, they're all having incredible seasons. While Wayne Simmonds, he's going to round out our 50-point scorers. Looking at the goaltending, of course, it's going to be Tuukka Rask leading the way for us. He's posting a 938 goals a game, so that's improving since the All-Star break. And when it comes to the save percentage, we're going to see him posting a 917. Not the greatest save percentage in the world, but you know what? I'll take it. Looking at all skaters here, Malkin's going to be leading the way, 105 points, 50 goals, 55 assists. Ryan Getzlaf's coming in second, but Jeff Skinner, 87 points, is going to have you third in the entire league. So the season you just had is actually a lot better than I expected. Like, you're outscoring Sidney Crosby. Who would have thought that in an 82-game season when both Sidney Crosby and Jeff Skinner both play 82 games, Jeff Skinner's going to be ahead of them? It's a very wild reality we're seeing right now, but you know what? We're going to take it. As you can see in the background, we have the Chicago Blackhawks in the first round. We got to get our revenge from last season. The St. Louis Blues were disappointed in the playoffs. Before we even get into the playoffs, though, let's double check to make sure that Tuukka Rask is our starting goaltender, because this right here is how it should be. Tuukka Rask, the number one goaltender. There's no reason this man should be on the bench in the playoffs. Okay, I genuinely just don't know what it is about this team. We're going down 3-0 once again here, but we're going to steal game 4. And unless we're making a 3-0 series comeback, why are we losing the first 3 straight? At this point, just get swept. So here we go. We got game 5. The St. Louis Blues facing elimination. Chicago's going to be picking up the first goal of the game. In the second, we're going to be responding. It's a big goal from Joe Pavelski. The third period is going to decide this one. Who's going to be taking it? The St. Louis Blues are making the massive comeback. I mean, we were up 3-1 and we almost choked it away. So it's not really a massive comeback. So we've already won more games in this postseason than we did last season, but that doesn't mean anything. We're picking up the first goal of the game here. We're picking up another one in the second, but Chicago's going to be responding here. It's a 1-goal game entering the third period, but don't worry, we're picking up 5 in this game. We're 1 game away from making it to the second round and 1 game away from completing a 3-0 series comeback. So here we go, game 7, the St. Louis Blues taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. We got this game locked down, 3 goals in the first period. We're taking it 4-1. A 3-0 series comeback. St. Louis, you have to bring home a Stanley Cup this season. You just proved that you're one of the best teams in the league, if not the best. So we're advancing to the second round, but hold on, wait a minute. Why are we taking on the Calgary Flames? Shouldn't it be the Minnesota Wild? Minnesota's going to be losing in 7 games. The Blackhawks are losing in 7 games. So we have a battle of the wildcard teams. I guess we're not technically a wildcard team. It's 3 taking on 4 between the St. Louis Blues and Calgary Flames. Calgary is the reigning Stanley Cup champions, though, so we can't take them lightly. So the St. Louis Blues are rolling right now. After making that comeback against the Chicago Blackhawks, they figured out how to play postseason hockey. Game 5 is going to be a big one. Unfortunately, we're going to be dropping that one, so we got to respond in game number 6 here. What's going to be happening? We're going to be closing it out. A massive 2-1 victory. We're off to the conference finals. So we're down to our final 4 teams. The Edmonton Oilers taking on the St. Louis Blues over in the Western Conference. Over in the East, we're going to see the Washington Capitals and the Tampa Bay Lightning matching up. It's going to be a battle to the finish between these remaining teams, but with the way St. Louis is playing, I think you have to say they're the favorite. Definitely not biased in saying that whatsoever. So we're going back and forth with the Oilers. We took game 1, they took game 2. We responded in game 3, but they're responding in game 4. So game 5 is going to decide this one. Who's going to be taking the lead in this series? It has to be us. Unfortunately, we're dropping that one 6-4. We're headed to game 6 elimination to stay alive. So here we go, game 6. It's a must win for the St. Louis Blues. It's going to be a scoreless first period. In the second period, though, the team's completely collapsing. We're allowing 3 goals here. We got to have a massive third period. Is that going to be happening? I can't simulate. My controller will not let me simulate. Okay, we allowed 7 goals. That is tough. I actually don't know what to say about that. We're losing in the conference finals to the Edmonton Oilers. We allowed 7 goals there. Yeah, that is a tough look. Now, of course, that wasn't the result this team was looking for this season, falling in the conference finals to the Edmonton Oilers, but they're going to get smoked in the Stanley Cup final. Washington's taking them out in 5 games. That was quick work for Washington. Now, although things might not be looking the best for this team, there is one thing that we have to remember here. A lot of the players on this team are young, and they should be better next season. It's only a matter of time before guys like Jonathan Drouin and Nathan McKinnon are jumping into the lineup, and they're going to be great pieces for us. Jeff Skinner, 19 points in 19 games. Joe Pavelski, 15 points here. Setaguchi, 11. Weiss is picking up 11. James Neal's picking up 10 here. This team performed when it mattered. Unfortunately, we just didn't perform enough here. And then when it comes to goaltending here, Tuukka Rask, a 279 just isn't going to be good enough. Plain and simple. I think we have to improve the defense a little bit here. A 911 is not too bad, but when it comes to winning a Stanley Cup, you need to be near perfect. Like, look at our Stanley Cup winning goaltender in Halak. He's posting a 151. I was contemplating drafting you, but instead I went for Tuukka Rask. I mean, it's not the end of the world. We still have Tuukka Rask here, but look at Yaroslav Halak's numbers. A 151 here, and then a save percentage, a 950. Like, he was easily the best goaltender in the entire league, no question about it. So with this being a 5-year rebuild, we have 3 more years left to win a Stanley Cup. I think we built a good foundational core, but there are a couple things that we need to clean up. So we all know I'm not spending too much time with the draft, but there is one thing I have to point out. Connor McDavid dropping to the 2nd overall pick. Connor McDavid going number 2 to the Nashville Predators, teaming up with Steven Stamkos. It's not going to take long before that team's a dynasty. Okay, plain and simple, I'm not wasting my time here. Look at the potential of these players right here. I'm not getting anything good. The highest potential player we're looking at, 2.5 stars. So yeah, we're letting the CPU handle this. So we have $7 million to work with, and there's only 2 guys looking for extensions right now. One of them being Backlund. We already knew this, and he's going to be looking for at minimum $2.5 million. $3.2 million, I really don't want to do this. I'm going to qualify you as an RFA, but then you're getting traded away. I mean, you are up to an 83 overall, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But you know what? We got a couple young guys coming up in the wings here, and I don't think we're going to need you. Cal Yarocro, I guess I can give you an extension. Where are you looking for? It's got to be a cheap contract, though. 2-way, we can definitely make something happen. So I'll give you $800K for the next 3 years on a 2-way contract. I know for a fact you're going to be accepting that. But if that's really the only player that needs a deal here, I think we might be able to get something to happen. So I think this is probably going to be the only trade we make here. It's going to be Backlund and a 3rd round pick over to the LA Kings for Gibson. He's going to be a good backup goaltender for us. 80 overall. He's going to hold it down. When it comes to the rest of our team, we're just bringing everyone back. So we do have $6 million, so we could make one free agent signing. And Eric Cole, it makes a bit of sense here. We need some more left wingers on the team. You're an 83 overall. Although you are 36 years old, I'm hoping I can get one more good season out of you. So how does $4 million on a 1-year deal sound? So these are where our lines are going to be looking like this season. Mark Scheifele, Wayne Simmonds, and Jeff Skinner on the first line. James Neal, Weiss, and Joe Pavelski on that second line. We have an amazing top 6 here. The bottom 6 is great too. All 80 overalls. We're going to see Jonathan Drouin jumping into the lineup here. When it comes to the defense, that's even better though. 90 overall Seth Jones, 88 overall Dustin Bufflin. We have 3 84 overalls, and we're capping it off with 83 overall Cam Fowler. 0 weaknesses whatsoever. The only question mark I have, goaltending, because Tuukka Rask, you have not been that guy. You've dropped to an 85 overall, but we did trade for 84 overall Chris Gibson, so maybe he's going to take over halfway through the season. Whoever's the best goaltender heading into the postseason is going to be the guy for us. Now we do have one more move we can make here, so if we want to simulate up to the trade deadline, make a move, we definitely can do that. So I'm happy to say the St. Louis Blues are one of the best teams in the entire league. We're actually the best team. First in the entire league, a 29-9-7 record right now, 45 games played, so 2 less than basically everyone else here, and we're still at the top of the league. We got games in hand. This team's looking great. And when it comes to the big time players on this team, are we really surprised? Jeff Skinner leading the way, 16 goals, 28 assists, 44 points. Then we got Joe Pavelski, Wayne Simmonds, Dustin Bufflin, Seth Jones, Mark Scheifele. I'm actually really surprised the scoring is not as good as I thought it would be. Maybe we just have some amazing depth scoring, but it doesn't even look like we have that. Our goaltending must be elite. Like, I'm assuming Tuukka Rask is amazing. Hold on, look at Chris Gibson, a 143 so far, but then Tuukka Rask, he's got a 188. Both of these guys' save percentages are incredible right now. We have 2 of the best goaltenders in the league. As long as our defense continues to look like this, we can definitely win a Stanley Cup. So with the season wrapping up, honestly, this is a place I never thought I'd see the team again. First in the entire league, a 53-21-8 record. The amount of success the St. Louis Blues have seen so far in this rebuild makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, yes, I've built a pretty solid team here, but first in the entire league in 2 of our first 3 years, nah, this team's doing something special. When it comes to the scoring for this team, we can see Dustin Bufflin's going to be one of the top guys, but who is the top guy? Well, it's going to be Jeff Skinner, followed by Joe Pavelski, Wayne Simmonds, Mark Scheifele, and then we're going to see Dustin Bufflin, who's leading the defense. But goaltending's the real thing I want to look at here. Both of our goaltenders incredible. Tuukka Rask, you have to be the goaltender for the playoffs. A 187 goals against, 42 wins this season, and the save percentage, a 933. Nah, you're special this season. What you're doing, we're probably never going to see again. When it comes to our leading scorers, we're going to see some familiar faces here. Malkin's leading the way with 100 points. Sidney Crosby second with 93. He's on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jonathan Toews, he's going to have 90 points. Tyler Seguin's also going to be having 90. And then Alexander Ovechkin, he's going to round out the top 5 here. He's got 89 49 points. But I guess there is one guy I want to look at, and that's a rookie skater. What did Connor McDavid do this season, assuming he played? So Connor McDavid, I'm under the impression that you played in your rookie season, but it doesn't look like you did. Connor McDavid really got sent back to the OHL. That is something. So the St. Louis Blues are the best team in the entire league right now, the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. All we have to do is show up when it matters most. We made it all the way to the conference finals last season, but you know what? The first round was definitely a struggle for us. We got to show up early. Now, I'm happy to say, unlike the last time we were in the first round, this team's going to be showing up big time here. We have a 3-1 series lead, and we're looking to close out in game number 5 here. I don't want this going longer than 5 games, so let's just close it out. Man, the simulation is slow here. Okay, we had a 3-0 series lead. We're not blowing a 3-0 series lead here. Close it out in game 6. Stop messing around. It's time for us to move on to the second round. This is ridiculous. All right, this team better not mess around here. We got to win a Stanley Cup here. We're picking up 2 goals in the first period. That's a good sign here. It's still going to be a 1-goal game entering the third period. Do not choke. Whatever you guys do, don't choke here. We're winning 3-1. We had a 3-0 series lead at one point, but for some reason we needed 7 games. Ridiculous. So we're moving on to the second round here. We had a 3-0 series lead. Everything was looking fantastic. We're not going to talk about what happened. We just got to move on here. We got to focus on the Minnesota Wild next. So I didn't know what happened in game number 1 because it happened at the end of April, and then we moved into May here. So I only saw these 2 losses and this one right here. I thought we were down 3-1 this series, but apparently it's tied 2-2. I was very concerned. But you know what? Game 5 means the most here. We can't be messing around. We got to be stealing this one away from Minnesota. Why would we ever steal a game away? So we got ourselves an elimination game here. The St. Louis Blues need to show up. We're going to be taking 17 shots in the first period, but we can't find the back of the net. We took another 15 shots in the second period. Like, we're lighting the lamp right now. 32 shots in the game. We have 2 goals, and we should steal this one away. 43 shots is going to be more than enough. We're going to be winning this game 3-1. So here we go. Game 7. Winner's going to make it to the conference finals. Minnesota's going to pick up the first goal of the game here. It's going to be a scoreless second. St. Louis can definitely make this comeback. We just need to lock in here. We're going to score an early goal in the third period, so we're going to need overtime to decide game 7. Next goal is going to send their team to the conference finals, and it's going to be the St. Louis Blues. James Neal, an actual St. Louis Blues legend. You played 1 preseason game with us, and you scored a hat trick. I'll never forget that day. Like, I still haven't forgot about that. In James Neal's final season in the NHL, he played for the St. Louis Blues. He was in the AHL for a little bit, but I just remember in his very first preseason game, that man picked up a hat trick. It made no sense. It was either a hat trick or 4 goals. I can't quite remember. You know what? We'll worry about James Neal later. We're in the conference finals. We have the 4th seeded Chicago Blackhawks to take on. They were a wild card team. We're the best team in the league. I think we know who should win this series. The Chicago Blackhawks, obviously, because we've been absolute crap in the postseason so far. So it all comes down to this. One more win and we're in the Stanley Cup final. The St. Louis Blues have a chance here. We're taking down the Chicago Blackhawks. We're moving on to the Stanley Cup final. It comes down to 2 teams, the St. Louis Blues, and who are we going to be taking on? The Buffalo Sabres. Neither of these teams have a Stanley Cup at this point in time, so somebody's going to be getting there first. So it's time for us to lock in here. We're going to simulate the first 4 games, and we're going to see what's going to happen. Game number 1, we're going to take that. We can take game 2 as well. Yeah, we might sweep Buffalo. I think we're sweeping the Buffalo Sabres. No, we aren't. We're going to drop game number 4. Now I'm scared. Do not lose game 5. We are not doing this. Close out in game 6. We can't go to game 7. Whatever you do, don't send us to game 7. I hate this team. Like, I can't handle this. I can't handle this team constantly blowing 3-0 series leads. We scored 3 goals in the first period. I don't care. We need to close it out. It's a 2-goal game entering the third period. Whatever you do, do not choke this game away. That is way too close. This game should not have been this close, but you know what? We're going to take it. The St. Louis Blues, Stanley Cup champions. We've completed the task of rebuilding this team and winning a Stanley Cup, but we're not done yet. It's a 5-year rebuild. We're completing a three-peat. So we've got Stanley Cup number 1. It's time to win 2 more. So I guess it wouldn't hurt if we looked at the top scorers here. Jeff's just going to lead the way, 9 goals, 12 assists. Then we're going to have James Neal with 16. The scoring on this team is actually pretty spread out through the entire team here, so we had a lot of guys stepping up when we needed them to. And of course, when it comes to goaltending, Tuukka Rask is clearly the guy. A goals against just above 2 here, and then when it comes to his save percentage, a 929. He was absolutely incredible during the postseason. He was incredible during the regular season. I just want 2 more great years out of you. So we're just going to go ahead and skip the draft. Based on how the drafting's been in the past, I'm not too focused on that. What I am focused on is the re-sign phase. We have a ton of guys on expiring deals, and we have a ton of players we have to bring back here. I don't know how we're going to afford everyone. Dustin Byfuglien, what are you going to be looking for? He's probably going to be looking for a bag. Honestly, this isn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Dustin Byfuglien, we can keep you around here. I'll do $5.4 million for the next 3 years. That'll keep you around for the rest of the rebuild. Eric Cole can definitely walk here. Daily, I'm not really too sure how much you're going to be looking for. If we can sign you to a cheap contract, I'll bring you back. $4.4 million, I'm definitely not doing that. But these are the real important players that we have to sign here. So Mark Scheifele, we're going to look at you. How much are you asking for here? 5.1 million. How about we do 4.75? Actually, we're not even going to do 4.75. How about 4.5 for the next 2 years? So Mark Scheifele is going to be sticking around here. Morgan Rielly, what are you going to be looking for? We can make this happen as well. How does 3.1 million sound for the next 2 years? So 3.1 for Morgan Rielly. He's a good defenseman for us. 85 overall. That's a great deal. How does 4.1 million sound for the next 4 years? That'll keep you around. And then when it comes to Nathan MacKinnon, 80 overall, a man who hasn't played a single game in the NHL, he's looking for 3.2 million. How about we do 2.9 million, then we call it a deal? So here's 2.9 million for the next 3 years. We're going to see who signs with the team. Ideally, we're bringing all these guys back here, and then we're going to have to make some smaller signings. Victor Stahlberg, we can do a deal like this. How does 1.8 sound for the next 2 years? For an 81 overall, that's actually a really good deal. Setaguchi, I'd love to bring you back as well for 2 years. So how much are you looking for? 2.8 million. How about we do 2.5 million? So 2.5 for the next 3 years for you. So after making the deals we have a handful of players leaving the team. Eric Cole, Weiss, Daly, and Downey. They played some critical minutes for this team, but you know what? Their time has passed. All right, so Chris Gibson, you're looking for $5 million to beat our backup here because as we know, Tuukka Rask is the guy. So we're going to trade you away. I'm going to send you over to the Calgary Flames so we can get Bowman here. He's going to be a good left winger for us under contract at 1.9 million for the next 2 years. That's a great deal. I'm going to try to get 2 second rounders and 2 third rounders. I don't think we can get all this, but I do want at least 2 second rounders. So I'll take out one of the third rounders, offer that package over. They're going to say no. I'll take out the other third rounder. You got to give me at least 2 seconds. Okay, maybe we're not getting 2 seconds in this deal. I mean, the least you can do is give me a second and third rounder, so I'm going to send that package over. They're saying no to that. You got to give me a second rounder. Okay, they're saying no to the second rounder, but if I include a seventh, we'll get this deal done. So here's a 7th rounder for 2017. They're going to say no to that. I guess 7th rounders don't really have that much value in this game, so I'll do 2 7th rounders. Hopefully that's going to be enough. The lucrative 7th round picks aren't enough anymore. What does this world come to? So this team needs another right winger, and Matt Fratton, you can be the guy for us. You're like an 82, 83 overall. You're a two-way forward, and that's what we need for our right winger. I'm going to give up Chris Drager and 2 second round picks here. Hopefully that's going to be enough. We're not even close here. I'll give you a third rounder. I'm actually willing to trade almost all of my picks away in order to get this deal done. So I didn't even add a third rounder in. I added another second, so it's going to be Chris Drager, 3 second round picks, and a third. We're giving up a ton here. But you know what? If we want to win a Stanley Cup, that's what we have to do. So this is going to be our final trade. I'm giving up our first round pick in Cali Yaricrow over to the Edmonton Oilers. We're picking up a defenseman here. He's like a 79 overall. That's good enough for me. Actually, I think he might be an 80 overall. Yeah, he's an 80 overall, and we're getting a backup goaltender. He's an 81. We're going to get a second round pick here. Honestly, I thought we were getting finessed in this deal. Maybe not. So we can't get the second round pick. Maybe we can get a third rounder instead. You know what? I really don't care that much about the draft pick, so let's not even worry about it. So if we were able to win a Stanley Cup last season, there's no way this team right here isn't winning one. Nathan MacKinnon, Jeff Skinner, Wayne Simmons on the first line. Fratton and Joe Pavelski and Jonathan Drouin on the second line. James Neal, Mark Scheifele, Setaguchi on the third line. Look at this team right here. We are absolutely unstoppable. The defense, Dustin Byfuglien, Seth Jones, Morgan Rielly, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Cam Fowler. Yeah, we have zero weaknesses here whatsoever. This team's looking incredible. And on top of all that, we still have Tuukka Rask here. He's up to an 87 overall. He's back in his prime. This team's winning 60 games. Now, the St. Louis Blues are looking amazing here at the trade deadline. A top 5 team, no surprise at that. 4th in the entire league, a 27-15-6 record. The boys are still rolling. Like, the difference between us and 1st in the entire league is 1 point. So there's a very good chance that we take home the President's Trophy once again here. Now, although our team looks very identical, there is one change here. Jeff Skinner, you're going to have the most points on the team, but you're not going to be leading us in goals. That's going to be Jonathan Drouin, 20 goals, 24 assists for 44 points so far. Nathan MacKinnon's been great. Selecting both of these guys in the fantasy draft was definitely the move. Joe Pavelski's looking amazing still. Mark Scheifele's looking great. You know what? Our offense doesn't necessarily look amazing here, so I can only assume our goaltending's absolutely fantastic right now. Okay, it's kind of mid. A 246 with 22 wins isn't the best from Tuukka Rask here, and the save percentage at 917. Maybe our offense is just really elite. But you know what? I believe in the St. Louis Blues. I know this team can win a Stanley Cup, and that's what we're going to do this season. We're going back to back. Now, the St. Louis Blues definitely finished out the season strong here. 2nd in the entire league, a 46, 26, and 10 record. But the only issue, the team that finished above us, the Minnesota Wild, another Central Division team. So that means we're not going to be taking on a wild card team in the first round. We're going to have our hands full with the Chicago Blackhawks, a 48 win team. It's definitely not going to be an easy task for us. When it comes to the team leader, we're going to see Jeff Skinner leading the way here. 30 goals and 43 assists for 73 points. And he's also going to turn out to be our goal leader because Jonathan Drouin, he's only going to finish with 29 goals. Meanwhile, Nathan MacKinnon in his rookie season, 15 goals, 48 48 assists for 63 points. He was an incredible pickup for us. Now, the real question is, Tuukka Rask, what did you do in the second half of the season here? You posted a 231, so I can definitely live with that. 37 wins here, and the save percentage, what is that looking like? A 920. Now, these are really good regular season numbers, but if we want to beat Chicago and Minnesota in the playoffs, I think you got to be posting at least a 940. All right, I might be tweaking here, but I'm pretty sure this is Jesper Fast. 92 points, 28 goals, 64 assists. I know they don't technically have the same name because this guy has an H at the end of Fast, but I'm pretty sure that this is him. Kovalchuk's going to be coming in second here, 89 points. Logan Couture, 81. Malkin's picking up 80. Tyler Seguin, 79. But yeah, I am 99% sure this is Jesper Fast. I could be completely wrong though, but the fact that he has a pitcher in the game and his name is almost identical, I can only assume this is the same player. But to be fair, what does stick on the ice actually know here? We got to move into the postseason here. We're going to have the St. Louis Blues taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. This is going to be a good matchup. Now, this team is something special. Back-to-back shutouts in Game 1 and Game 2. In Game 3, we're only allowing 1 goal. In Game 4, what's going to be happening? 1 goal allowed as well. Tuukka Rask is at the top of his game right now. I don't think we'll ever see him play this good again. Now, what happened to the Minnesota Wild falling in the first round? That team is full of frauds. No, seriously, Minnesota, how did you lose? But you know what? If Colorado's going to be beating Minnesota, they're legit. But then again, did you guys see how Tuukka Rask played? We're not losing to anyone. Okay, right now, the St. Louis Blues have nothing but motion. Back-to-back sweeps. We're moving into the conference finals. This team is yet to lose, and now we have the LA Kings. We're not stopping here. We got to keep on rolling. Let this team see success. We're going to be simulating the first couple games here. We're losing game number 1. We're responding game 2 and game 3. What are we doing in game 4? We're going to keep on winning here. We're 11-1 in the postseason. Let's make that 12-1. Do you think I really care about scouting right now? We are focused on winning a Stanley Cup, and you're asking me about scouting? We'll deal with that later. We're taking down the LA Kings in 5 games here, moving on to the Stanley Cup final. I don't care about scouting. Do whatever you want. 3 weeks. Don't bother me again for the rest of the postseason. Here we go. The New Jersey Devils taking on the St. Louis Blues for the Stanley Cup. We're looking to go back-to-back here. We're dropping game 1, but we're going to respond in game 2. Every single game won so far has been a shutout. We got shut out, then we did the shutting out. We got shut out again, then we got another shutout ourselves. Game 5, who's going to be picking up the shutout in this game, and who's taking the lead in this series? It looks like it's going to be us. We're taking that one 5-4. Can we close this out in game number 6 and be Stanley Cup champions? Yes, we can. The St. Louis Blues, back-to-back Stanley Cups here. We have 1 more year left. Let's complete the three-peat. So the St. Louis Blues are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions here. We couldn't do it without Jonathan Drouin. 15 goals, 4 assists, 19 points. Nathan MacKinnon was great. Joe Pavelski was great. Jeff Skinner was great. The entire team was great, and basically everyone's coming back except for James Neal, I believe. He's the only expiring contract. And Tuukka Rask, we have you around for the rest of the rebuild. A 150 goals against, 16 wins here. I gotta see that save percentage, a 945. I asked you to post a 940 in the postseason in order for us to win a Stanley Cup, and you did exactly that. Also, how many shutouts did you get? I'm very curious on that. 5 shutouts and 16 wins. This man was absolutely locked in. We're not winning any Stanley Cups without him. We've got the repeat so far, but now it's time for the elusive three-peat. So we have $6.5 million, and there's really only 2 players I want to bring back, Ryan Johansson and James Neal here. We're going to start with James Neal because he's the 87 overall, and I want to make sure the 87 overall is returning to the team here. So how about we do 4.9 for the next 4 years? I think if we lock it down for 4.9, then we'll still have enough money for Ryan Johansson. So you just 4.9 for the next 4 years, and then Ryan Johansson, you better be willing to accept a pretty cheap deal. So I think we should be able to get this done. We'll do 2.3 million for the next 3 years, and then we'll be locking both of these guys down long term. So we're only going to make 1 trade here because all we have to do is bring in a backup goaltender. So Dominic Graham, you're going to come to the St. Louis Blues, and you're going to be a backup for us. They're saying no to this deal. I don't really care what I have to give you. Here's a 7th round pick for 2019, and now you're accepting this. You're really saying no to that. Okay, I'll give you a 4th round pick as well. I don't care what the assets are. I'm just making this trade happen. Here's a 3rd round pick as well. We got absolutely finesse there, but now we have our backup goaltender, and now we can win our 3rd Stanley Cup. So here we go. It's time for the three-peat. Year number 5, the final season of the rebuild. Nathan MacKinnon, Jeff Skinner, Wayne Simmons, Fratton, Mark Scheifele, Jonathan Drouin, James Neal, Joe Pavelski, Bowman, Stahlberg, Ryan Johansson, Setaguchi. We got ourselves a team here. When it comes to the defense, Dustin Byfuglien, Seth Jones, Morgan Riley, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Cam Fowler, Dahlroth. We play incredible defense here. We got an amazing defensive core, and to cap it all off, one of the best goaltenders in the league, Tuukka Rask. This man's been incredible in the playoffs in back-to-back years now. Let's just make it 3 straight and get 3 straight Stanley Cups. There's no point stopping at the All-Star break. We're not making any trades here. Let's get right to the end of the season and get ourselves a Stanley Cup. Now, I'm sad to say the St. Louis Blues are washed here. I can't believe this team is finishing 3rd in the entire league, far from the greatness we used to show. But then again, a 54-25-3 record, I'm definitely perfectly fine with that. St. Louis, although we're not sitting at the top of the league, not the number 1 seed, not the number 2, we're still an incredible team. Like, we're top 3 with 54 wins. I'll take take that any day of the week. When it comes to our scoring, Jonathan Drouin, you were that guy this season. 48 goals, 54 helpers, 102 points. You were probably a top 5 scorer. Jeff Skinner, 86 points, Nathan McKinnon, 77, but Jonathan Drouin, you were that guy this season. It's safe to say I wasn't expecting a season like that from you. Meanwhile, Tuukka Rask, a 194, 48 wins this season. The save percentage, a 928. I'll take that every day of the week. But I guess the real question is, where did Jonathan Drouin finish in league scoring? He's sitting at the top, the only 100-point scorer this season. He had 11 more points than anyone else in the entire league. 48 goals, 54 assists. He was that guy this season. 88 overall. Now all you have to do is win another Stanley Cup with us. Also, I'm pretty sure Jeff Skinner was like top 5 in scoring, so shout out to him as well. This team had 2 of the top 5 scorers and 2 of the best goal scorers. Yeah, we know how to put the puck in the back of the net. We have the Dallas Stars in the first round here. We've won back-to-back Stanley Cups. We're looking to complete that three-peat. So we started off the postseason by winning 3 straight games here. A 3-1 series lead, something I love to see, as long as you can close it out, and that's exactly what we're doing in Game 5. A big 3-1 victory. We're moving on to the second round. We are 12 more games away from completing a three-peat. So we took down the Dallas Stars, and now we get to take on a team we swept in the first round last season. They weren't even able to steal a game away from us, the Chicago Blackhawks. But if anything, Chicago's going to have a chip on their shoulder, but we got Tuukka Rask and they don't, and that's all you really need. Now this is a sad day. This is a very sad day right here. After winning game number 1, the team completely collapsed, losing 3 straight games. We're looking to complete a three-peat here, but now we got to make a 3-1 series comeback. We got to focus on this first. So here we go. We got ourselves Game 5 elimination. Malkin's going to be picking up the first goal of the game, but who cares? We're going to be responding. Joe Pavelski's picking up a goal here. So is Fratinen. But in the second period, we're going to see the Blackhawks wake up. They're going to be evening this game up. The third period is going to decide this one. Maybe not. We're both exchanging goals here. Nathan McKinnon with 25 seconds left in the third is going to force overtime. And in overtime, Ryan Johansson's going to show up. He's going to score the big time goal. This team's staying alive. So we won game number 5. We probably shouldn't have taken that one, but you know what? We're locked in. We're taking 5 shots to Chicago 16. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned heading into the second period here, but you know what? Who cares? It doesn't matter how many shots you take. You have to put the puck in the back of the net. That's what Nathan McKinnon's doing here. We have a 1-goal lead entering the third period. Tuukka Rask, a 36 save shutout. Jonathan Drouin's picking up another goal for the St. Louis Blues. We're off to Game 7 elimination. We're completing the 3-1 series comeback. So Tuukka Rask, all I'm asking for here is another historic performance. It's going to be a scoreless first period. In the second period, Wayne Simms is going to be picking up a big time goal for us. We have 20 minutes left in this game. I need 20 minutes of incredible hockey, and that's exactly what we're getting. We're completing the 3-1 series comeback over the Chicago Blackhawks. We're 8 games away from a three-peat, and Tuukka Rask has got himself another shutout. So after making one of the greatest comebacks in Stanley Cup history, we're moving on to the conference finals here. We got the Vancouver Canucks to take on next. Over in the Eastern Conference, we got the Montreal Canadiens and Tampa Bay Lightning. We can't take a single team lightly. We took Chicago lightly, and look what happened. We had to make a big comeback. I don't think we can make multiple 3-1 series comebacks. So here we go. One more series. We're sweeping the Vancouver Canucks. They didn't stand a chance against us. We're in the Stanley Cup final. 4 games away from winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, and we're going to cap it off against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I do not care about scouting. Do not bother me for another month. We have something way more important. That's the Stanley Cup final. We're taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, a wild card team. Now, they might have been a wild card team, but they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. That we got to make sure that we take these guys seriously. We're taking game number 2. We're taking game number 3, but they're taking 1 and 4. So game 5 is going to be a big time game for the St. Louis Blues. Can we be stealing that one away? We can't. Alright, we got Game 6 elimination here in the Stanley Cup final against a wild card team. St. Louis, don't fold to a wild card team, that's all I'm saying. So here we go, we got Game 6 elimination here. Kevin Bieksa is going to pick up the first goal of the game here. In the second, it's going to be a scoreless one. I know St. Louis has a bunch of great goal scorers on their team, and they're going to find the back of the net in the third period here. But Kyle Turris is going to score with 8 minutes left. That's going to be the winner. The St. Louis Blues in year number 5 are falling in the Stanley Cup final. We had a chance at a three-peat here, but unfortunately that's not going to be happening. This is a very disappointing way to finish the video off. And it's not like our team was bad by any means. Like Jonathan Drouin, great. 10 goals, 11 assists, 21 points here. Jeff Skinner was great. Nathan McKinnon was great. Maybe some of the bottom 6 guys could have stepped up a bit more, but you know what? The team was really solid. And Tuukka Rask, you were amazing. A 184, 14 wins here. The save percentage was a 938. There's not too much more you could have done here. Like Tampa Bay, I really want to know what your goaltender did. He had a 943 and a 184. So we were really competing with the best out here. But that's going to cap cap off our 5-year rebuild here. We did a fantasy draft in NHL 14. We were able to win 2 Stanley Cups back to back, and we made it to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. I would say that's a pretty successful 5 years. It's also pretty funny considering in season number 1, I thought the plan was just going to be to tank for the first overall pick, but nope, we ended up being a top 5 team for basically the entirety of this video. I think in season number 2 we might have taken a slight step back, but in years 3, 4, and 5, we certified ourselves as a dynasty.